The movie Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth, is a high-energy, gritty, stylized, action-packed movie which got released on Netflix recently. And today, I want to break down a scene from it that had me pausing and yelling at the screen in excitement. Yes, a grown man. What's up guys, my name is Rustic. I'm a professional stuntman and filmmaker. And before I jump into this breakdown, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a backstory on the movie, who made it and what makes it awesome. But if you have like a really short attention span or something, the timestamp is gonna be right here for where the breakdown actually starts. But having said that, let's set the scene. I personally think that the whole movie Extraction is solid. It has some really good storytelling inside of it as well. It's not just an action movie for action's sake. Even though it has some amazing stunts and amazing filmmaking, it's actually built around a story that gets dark sometimes, but for a reason. So you get actually emotionally invested in it and you actually feel like the characters' emotional journeys and struggles and all that kind of stuff. Even all the fight scenes had a very specific reason for all the moves that were happening. Now, Extraction was directed by a man named Sam Hargrave, who was a legit stunt performer in the business before he worked his way up to being stunt coordinator. He was second year director on Atomic Blonde, which means that he actually has done that one-take fight idea before, which if you guys want to see, I actually made a video about it as well. But having said that, this was actually Sam Hargrave's first actual directorial debut. And this is somebody that understands action filmmaking literally from the ground up, from literally hitting the ground himself to running an action movie. And even though I usually break down fight scenes on this channel, guys, today I actually really want to talk about this car chase scene from about a third of the way into the movie. So spoiler alert, guys, if the whole movie itself is a big chase scene, so I'm not really giving too much of a spoiler, but you know, I just had to say that. Alright guys, so the car chase that I'm going to be breaking down for you today, it literally had me pausing the remote and rewinding it, yelling at the screen like, did you see this? Did you see that? I'm probably like the most annoying person to watch a movie with, but literally like this chase scene, it's shot as if it's one continuous take. And I've done like breakdowns on different one-take fight scenes and all that kind of stuff before, but I've never seen it done so well as it is in this movie. It actually took me about like 2 hours to comb through the whole scene. As you can see, I have like 7 pages of notes that I want to go through with you guys. And guys, remember, just because there may be cuts where a filmmaker is trying to make something look like one shot, doesn't make it any less awesome. I personally like love the craft, and I personally think it's even more awesome because they're able to take you on this ride to make you wonder how they did it and just basically have your beliefs suspended. Anyways, guys, I think that's enough of an intro. Let's just jump in here and have a look at Extraction. Alright guys, so I have this scene up down in my timeline right now, and I'm going to go through here, guys, one by one and show you where I think the cut points were and how they did their transitions. So this chase scene starts off with this guy right here shooting, and the camera whip pans really quickly and the car drives away, right? So now you got to ask yourself, if this is a handheld camera over here, how can it whip pan and all of a sudden be going as fast as a giant car, right? So that's why I think there was a cut here. You can't really tell during the whip pan where the cut point was. And other parts of this fight, I can actually see a cut easier, but this is one of those whip pans where I think that they actually must have filmed another shot to connect the whip. So it's like you start on the person and you whip away, and normally you would just whip into the next shot. I think they filmed something in between, whatever's here on the left going by, and then whipped back in, so that way later on they could actually go in and match up the pixels and place them in, add the blur and stuff. So that's actually one trick I think that they were doing a lot in this chase scene. Alright, so after this first cut from this acting moment to this chase, this next part is crazy, right? You have this car, it's driving through the city, being chased by another camera vehicle, right? It stops, a couple cops get out of their cars, it shows the faces of the actors that are in the car, it zooms back out, and it goes all the way back until they do a J-turn. That's a stunt right there from stunt driving called a J-turn, because the car is going backwards and it does a little turn like this, and then the camera goes inside. I honestly think from here all the way to here and back here up to this J-turn, I think is all one take. And I think that they used face replacement for this part right here. Normally on a big budget movie set like this, you don't have an actor do a dangerous stunt, because then if something happens, like production has to shut down, etc, etc. But anyways, so I think this was all one shot with the car coming up here. The camera was on some sort of, I think it was a bike, because as they're approaching those cop cars up ahead, you can see on the left, there's no tracks right here. But as they're backing up, you can see all of a sudden there's two tracks. I think one of them was for whenever the camera was driving up with next to the car, and this one right here, I think it must have been a bike, like a camera bike, as they're backing up. Right, so I think that was one shot, and this would have been a stunt driving shot with face replacement. And so guys, the next thing that happens is the camera actually goes into the car, and we can see both of our actors driving from inside. So this would have been a green screen shot, I'm guessing, and they would have made a transition somewhere in here after the J-turn before they go into the car. Now, the two possible points that I found for the cut would have been here, because the camera dips down to the ground and then it dips back up, and for a moment there you can't see the window of the car. So I think that's would have been a good place to hide a cut right there. And then the camera lands inside. And I found one tiny little glitch where I think the cut would have been made. I think what they did was they actually were on the set right here in real life, and they went in and passed the camera through inside like this, and from here would have been a green screen shot. And the reason I'm guessing this is because you could just see this headrest over here on the bottom. As the camera goes in, you can see this headrest right here. It just jumps like from here to here. Just the tiniest jump. You almost can't tell at all, because if you look at this actor's face, he's making the same exact expression, which I probably think was actually green screen replacement later on. And this shot right here would have been a car on a stage somewhere. I don't think the windows would have been there, and there would have been a green screen a little bit further out, and then they would have replaced this window later on. All right, so then you have this shot of from inside, the actor's acting. As it turns, if this is a green screen shot, that means that everything outside of the car at this point is another take, right? So you're out here, you show this car, this interior of the car would have been laid over top of this shot as the car turns, and then it goes back. And I think there's a cut here, whip pan back over and go into some dialogue, right? And when you're directing actors, I assume that they had to do more than one take for these scenes in order to get the dialogue right. So this would have been an acting shot once again on a green screen. You see both the actors, you establish that there's the kid in the car, you establish that Chris Hemsworth is in the car, he looks back at one point like this. They did a really, really good job matching the footage to what he's actually doing with his wheel. I think there might have been a transition here on the phone as well. You kind of don't see the shoulders of the actors, you only see a knee, and then his hand comes in, boom. I think that's where the new shot would have started. And then break through this right here. It would have gotten this plate outside of the green screen with like some sort of battering ram, and just getting a clean shot of that. You know, that's all overlaid there. And so you have like this green screen acting moment. There's another moment right here as the actor buckles his seatbelt. That would have been another nice time for them to make some sort of transition. This is one shot. It had to be timed up perfectly, so when he turns, the camera can turn and look at these cars coming in here. And as they get ran from the back, boom, there's another cut. It's almost perfect, but I can tell because as the camera moves, it kind of jumps from here to here all the way, and then it kind of wipes through. All right, so you have another acting moment right here. Then you have a transition shot. As this actor looks back and he turns to this shot over here as the camera goes through the back windshield, right? Like this would have had to have been a clean shot by itself, because there's no way it can go through a windshield. The windshield wouldn't have been there. What I think they did is to transition from this interior of the car to back here and go through the windshield. I think they filmed two connecting shots. As it goes through, the camera is whipping at one speed, and then at one point it jumps a little bit like this, and it is being whipped to this window right here. They had a connecting shot of just foliage going by, and then as they keep turning, this would have been, you know, on a green screen, this car plate as they turned over here without a window in it, and they would have just passed the camera through, and this window would have been done in VFX. So boom, as they come through, once you start seeing out this window, everything here is a real take. So you got the car that comes through and it hits the pipe ramp, boom, and he shoots this car and it goes up and does a corkscrew, lands. That's gnarly, by the way. This stunt right here, whoever is in that car, that was gnarly. This whole scene feels to me like Sam Hargrave was like really pushing his own boundaries. So I'm sure they spent months planning this. I actually read an article somewhere that it actually took them 10 days to film this chase, and for good reason. Right, next cut happens as you come around, you see this other actor that's chasing our heroes, and he's shooting these cop cars right here. And they probably had a connecting shot, something in here, like this wall, to what they were going to be whipping into. The bad guy over here, he's shooting the cops. The cop goes up on the ramp, This one doesn't flip around, and so the actual hill that this cop car on the right goes up is made of gravel. And it lands on some barrels, so it's stopped, and it didn't flip out and like land on any other cars. So it goes boom, up, lands. As you can see, when the police car comes around like this, the door is like hanging off, but you can't see it until it comes around. So back here, this police car would have already had its door hanging off, and this stunt guy comes ahead of this car, does the turn with, I think, barely any contact. This is one of those shots where I wasn't really sure if this is face replacement or not. So that's what I am going to be assuming, is that this was actually a stunt double and they put dots on his face, and later on they actually had it replaced with the actual actor. And the reason is because even though this car isn't doing that much, it's not really hitting that car, it's not really hitting this car, it's still very precise. Like if you just put an actor in there and something goes wrong, then your production is stopped. And when you're doing like a scene of this caliber, you can't afford to mess up. Then it goes through, there's a nice clean wipe picture or a video of this giant pillar and just moved it across to help do the wipe. Then the next time we see our heroes is up here, and you have this whole special shot for them coming around, whipping around. This would have been a stunt driver with some face replacement as well. Camera comes up and in. Now I think this would have been a nice transition as well right here. You can't tell really, like if you go frame by frame, it's like too perfect. But I just decided that there has to be a cut here because the next shot is the acting moments and they're whipping around and shooting. If I was going to make an educated guess as a filmmaker, I would say they probably did a mixture of coming up here, these are the stunt doubles, this is still the real take, and they passed the camera in. Then, you know, from the green screen, they would have passed the camera in as well here. And I'm guessing they would have added like a fake 3D car overlay to make sure that it matched properly with like Marvel level VFX. Green screen moment. They turn around, shoot. I think that once they whip right here as well on the green screen, they would have whipped into actually being in the car, and then it would whip back forward. Then we have another green screen shot. As they're kind of going forwards, they have a little bit more of a dialogue. Then a transition shot into the last piece. I think that there was an extra transition shot in between here. As the camera whips, you can kind of tell it jumps a lot from here to here. And this would have been a shot inside of the camera with a stunt driver looking back as they actually impact a car or stopped right before it. You can kind of tell there's a little bit of a digital zoom as well as it comes in. And then the next shot, you have literally like a jumped frame from here to here. You can see the bottom of the thing. And because there was a digital zoom coming in, the camera isn't still matching the movement forward, but all of a sudden the bottom of the frame jumps from here to here with this glass up here as well. All of this glass would have been CGI, and then the camera would have been passed out through the back of the car. Also, one more thing I wanted to note is how they mix practical stuff with VFX, right? So you have the glass that broke over here, probably all CGI. And then out here you have real glass that they scattered on the hood of that car, on the back of this car, just to help match the cut. And then the camera comes out, the actor falls out, and then this take goes all the way up to this apartment complex where they have like some really cool choreography with guns and stuff like that. I think this is a masterful piece of action filmmaking, and I've never seen anything like this before. I never even thought about the fact that you can film extra transition pieces as you're doing whip pans, and then you can mix 3D visual effects with green screen, with plates, to make the camera look like it's moving in and out of car and around. You can show acting moments perfectly, you can show stunts perfectly. Hopefully you guys get an idea from this video. Like, this movie goes hard. So overall, I think this scene has about 18 different cuts, but I think it has more shots than that because they did a bunch of transitions. They had all the plates for during the green screen acting parts that were on the outside and the inside. So altogether, with all the main shots, the transition shots, and the cut points, I'm gonna guess that they're pushing like 30-35 shots to put together this 3-minute chase scene. And like I said earlier, the fact that the storytelling is so good, this makes Extraction one of my top favorite movies that I've seen as of late. The only other one I can think of is the Rurouni Kenshin series, which I'm going to be doing a breakdown as well in the future on. Once again, guys, this was all my guess. Hopefully this video taught you something, and that now you can see why I always talk about the stunt performers who work their way up to being action directors and directors. I think are literally probably the best people to make action movies because they understand the craft of it from the ground up, especially those ones that keep pushing themselves. A stunt performer learns what's possible physically possible with the human body. And then if they keep learning, they eventually learn about all the different camera angles that help sell that particular emotion or moment or stunt. That kind of, makes them more like a magician. They're taking your attention and are guiding it, and they're kind of helping you frame what's happening with the storytelling and the angles and the physicality of it. And that's why I think the action directors that start as stunt people are the best action directors. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. There's a whole playlist of these I have down below. Go check that out. If you saw anything I missed, or you have any feedback or suggestions for future videos, please leave those down in the comments below. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Also hit that notification bell, because for some reason YouTube doesn't show you videos unless you actually hit the bell. So do that, guys. Thank you again very much for watching. And if you haven't yet, definitely go check out Extraction on Netflix. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace. Oh, and by the way, I just want to say thank you to CZ's World for the new merch. Check out this shirt, CZ's World and Kill. Thanks very much for the shirt, man. I appreciate you. Hey guys, if you like the shirt, go check out the link in the description.